Hi. In our previous lectures, we have been discussing about how a cash flow statement is to be prepared, its importance, and we were trying to find out the changes in cash and the cash equivalent on account of operating, financing, and investing activities. We considered for this purpose couple of questions, and we were trying to find out which among the three has contributed for increase of cash and the cash equivalent at the end of the year, whether it is operating or investing or financing activities. Which activity has contributed for maximization of closing cash and the cash equivalent at the end of the year? Today, we will take up a balance sheet and profit and loss account or income statement of another company, and we'll find out the reasons for increase in cash balance or cash and the cash equivalent balance. Let us now get into the question. Income statement and balance sheet of Ashok Limited is provided in the question, and you are asked to prepare cash flow statement using both the methods, direct as well as indirect method. So this is the income statement where you must be in a position to notice the firm's sales and charges against sales in terms of cost of sales, which includes stock adjustments, paid to creditors, all these aspects, and depreciation, which is usage cost of an asset, and the salaries and wages claimed as expense for the current year, and operating expenses claimed as an expense for the current year, and the tax provision is not paid. All these aspects, if you closely look at, these are claimed as expenses for the current year, 31st March 2011. And it is this is your opening comparative balance sheet of Ashok Limited is given for the year 1st 10 and 11. That is, this is your opening balance, 1st April 2010 and 31st March 2011 is given. And the income statement for the period ending 31st March 2011 is provided. And these were the expenses claimed and charged against sales of 25,20,000. And the total claims amounting to rupees 24,48,000, comprising of cost of sales, depreciation, sales, operating expenses, provision for tax, all put together it is calculated at 24,48,000. And the difference between the total charges against sales is arrived as rupees 72,000, which is operating income statement claims rupees 72,000 as operating profit. And profit on sale of equipment being non-operating income is added to find out the total profit. So profit on sale of equipment is not a source of revenue to the firm from the primary or principal business of the firm. Some of the old equipment was sold during the year, because of which the firm was able to make some money out of it, which is rupees 12,000. Anyway, the total profit of the firm becomes 84,000. That is profit from operating, not cash, it's all profit. In terms of profit from operating is 72,000, and from non-operating, that is from sale of equipment, is 12,000. So totally you have 84,000. And you are also adding opening profit, that is profit brought forward from the previous year, 1,51,800, and your current year, the provision in the dividend declared and paid was given as 72,000, and the net profit is arrived 1,63,800. So using this information, we are trying to find out how this has impacted on the cash position of the firm. Okay. So by looking at the balance sheet, you can understand the liabilities and the assets of the.
From the comparative balance sheets of Ashok Limited for the period ending 31st March 2010 to 2011, one can understand that the capital position has increased. Correspondingly, their profit also has increased, and their investment on fixed assets like land, opening and closing, and building and equipment has also increased. And we should also consider the changes in other current assets and current liabilities, and the impact of all these changes, decisions or transactions on cash is to be evaluated or analyzed. So we are trying to find out the reasons for increase in cash from 60,000 to 72,000, considering all these changes or all these transactions or decisions. And in fact, the additional information says that some part of the asset was also sold during the year. Now let us move on to the computation of cash from operating activities as per indirect method.
Calculation of cash flow from operating activities. Under the direct method. See, under this method, we have to consider only the cash aspects. The difference between direct and the indirect method is, in case of direct method, we'll consider only the cash receipts and the cash payments, or the cash inflow and the cash outflow. Whereas in case of indirect method, the profit will be considered. The profit after taking into account expenses like non-fund or non-operating, like depreciation and other expenses, will be considered for calculating the profit. So we have to add back and reverse. So we'll deal with that later. First, let us proceed with direct method. So for this purpose, we need to know information like cash received from debtors. Debtors are the customers to whom goods are sold on credit. So how this can be calculated? The equation is sales. Sales here means credit sales. Unless otherwise given, we have to presume it as credit sales plus opening debtors. Opening debtors minus closing debtors. That is opening balance of debtors and closing balance of debtors. So which is going to be sales we have to take out from the income statement, which is 25,20,000, plus opening debtors we have to take out from the balance sheet, which is 1,68,000. 1,68,000 minus closing balance of debtors is rupees 1,86,000, all in terms of rupees. In terms of rupees. So the balance should be the difference, like 18,000. Between 18,000 is the difference, and minus is greater. So if you subtract 18,000 from 25,20,000, it should be 25 lakhs and 2,000 is the amount of cash from debtors. Cash from debtors. This is part of working notes number 1. Then we have to calculate cash paid to creditors. Paid to creditors. For this purpose, first we need to know the purchases. Purchases can be calculated using cost of goods sold or cost of sales. Cost of sales is equal to opening stock opening balance of stock as per balance sheet plus purchases is the equation minus closing stock. So these two values are there in the balance sheet. So stock opening 2,64,000, closing 96,000. 2,64,000 rupees. Purchases we do not know, we have to calculate it by simplifying the equation, and closing stock is 96,000 rupees. 96,000. So by simplifying the and using cost of sales is given in question as 19,80,000 rupees. 19,80,000. So substituting values in the equation, purchases can be calculated, which will be purchases will be equal to rupees 18,12,000. So using the amount of purchases, cash paid to creditors can be calculated. This calculation 2A and 2B, cash paid to creditors. To calculate cash paid to creditors, the equation will be opening balance of creditors plus purchases minus closing balance of creditors. So opening balance of creditors as per balance sheet is 2,40,000. Closing is 2,34,000. So substituting values here, 2,40,000 rupees, and purchases as calculated here is 18,12,000 minus closing creditors as given in balance sheet is 2,34,000. So by simplifying this, you get rupees 18,18,000 as cash paid to creditors. Next, we have to calculate cash paid to employees. So if you look into the income statement, salaries and wages claimed as expenses for the current year is given as rupees 2,40,000. It's not actually cash paid, it is claimed as expense for the current year. And when you look at balance sheet, on the asset side, you have advances, opening and closing. So here, it is simply given as advances. We are presuming it as salaries and wages paid in advance. So using these opening and closing balances and the amount of expenses claimed, we have to arrive at cash paid towards employees for the current year. So first we have to consider the opening balance being asset item, prepaid expenses or advances account. Opening balance will be taken on the debit side. If it is in the ledger format, first we have to take up the opening balance, which will be on the debit side, closing balance on the credit side, and the expenses claimed as per P&L account is to be given credit here. In the advances ledger or prepaid expenses ledger, it should be given credit. And by closing the ledger, we can calculate the amount of cash paid. Or this can be arrived by using the equation. So the amount of expenses claimed as per P&L account plus closing balance minus opening balance. Also, you can follow this method. Also, you can follow to calculate the amount of cash paid to employees. Next, cash paid towards expenses, operating expenses. Again, when you go back to the profit and loss account, operating expenses claimed for the current year is rupees 80,000.
And if we look at balance sheet, outstanding expenses opening and closing given as 24,000 and 48,000. So taking this information, we have to calculate cash paid towards operating expenses. So being liability item in the ledger, opening balance should come on the credit side, closing balance to be debited. And the expenses claimed given as rupees 80,000 to be credited here. And by closing the ledger, we can calculate cash paid to operating expenses. So the next calculation is concerned with cash paid towards tax. So when you go back to the P&L account, so the amount of provision for tax is not paid, it is just provided. For the current year, 88,000 is provided towards tax. And if you look at balance sheet and opening and closing balances of tax payable, that means outstanding is given, due but not paid. It was 12,000 at the beginning and 13,200 at the end. So using these information, the opening and the closing balance of tax payable and the current year provision, we have to calculate the amount of tax paid. So when you open the tax payable outstanding account, being liability item, opening balance will come on the credit side, closing balance should be debited. And current year tax expenses or provision, current year provision should be credited here by P&L. And by closing the ledger, we can calculate cash paid towards creditors, cash paid to tax. Or this can be arrived using equation. So for this purpose, the equation will be like this: current year tax provision plus opening balance minus closing balance. You get the amount of tax paid for the year. So the working notes with regard to the calculation of cash from operating activities is over now. We have calculated all aspects: cash received from debtors, cash paid to creditors, employees, paid towards expenses, and tax. Now let us consolidate all cash receipts and payments as per our workings. So cash received from debtors, paid to creditors, all expenses towards salaries, operating expenses, and payment towards tax are consolidated here to arrive at the net cash flow from operating activities. So from the receipts of debtors, all the payments have been adjusted, paid towards creditors, wages, expenses, and from the balance, tax paid is adjusted, and the net cash flow from operating activities has been arrived. Now we move on to calculation of cash from investing activities. For this purpose, first we should look at fixed assets in balance sheet. In case of fixed assets, you have land and building and equipments here in this question. If you look at land, opening balance given as 48,000, closing balance. So there is increase, which means purchase of land. Similarly, in case of building and equipments also, there is increase close to around 2,16,000, which also indicates purchase, but we cannot directly consider this as purchase. Why? Because it is given in question that some part of asset or equipment was sold and there is accumulated depreciation. opening and closing balances of accumulated depreciation on building and equipment is also given in question. So in such case, we have to find out the cash proceeds from sale of the old equipment, and we should compute the additional purchase of building and equipment. Now let us move on to the calculation. So here it is given the amount of depreciation claimed for the year is 60,000. We have to, so working notes. Number 1, calculation of cash from sale of equipment. So for this purpose, first we need to have accumulated depreciation on building and equipment account. So this being liability side item of the balance sheet, opening balance should be credited and closing balance should be debited. So by opening balance, $1,20,000 to closing balance $1,32,000. And current year depreciation as given in income statement should be credited here. So by P&L account. So journal entry is P&L account debit to accumulated depreciation account. That means this expense will be debited there, whereas here it should be credited. That's it. We can close the ledger. So it is 1,80,000. So 48,000 is your depreciation on assets sold or equipment sold. This is a result. This is an answer. So this is a key information because we need to know the book value of assets sold. So using this information, we have to calculate cash from sale of equipment. So in fact, in the first step, it should be calculation of depreciation on assets sold. Depreciation on assets sold. So what is the cost of equipment sold given in question? 72,000. Cost of equipment sold. That should be considered. Cost of equipment sold rupees 72,000 less depreciation on assets sold. So you must try to understand the difference between two depreciation here. This is annual depreciation of all assets, whereas here it is depreciation on assets sold. That is difference. Using this information, we have to calculate depreciation on assets sold. So it is 48,000. So the balance should be 24,000. So what is this? This 24,000 is book value of equipment sold. Okay. But this was sold. How this was sold? It is given in income statement that the equipment was sold at a profit of 12,000. So the profit should be added here. That means you must have sold at some price, okay, which was helpful to make a profit of 12,000. That means what is that price? So yes, you made a profit of 12,000 means you must have sold it for 36,000. Because worth of the asset is 24,000, you made a profit of 12,000 means that your sale price or the proceeds from sale of equipment should be 36,000. So how do we arrive this? Add profit on sale of equipment. This is available. This is given in the P&L account. This will be given in P&L account. If it is given as loss on sale of equipment, your sale proceeds will be only 12,000. You have to reduce 12,000. Whereas here it is given as profit. So we are adding with the book value of equipment sold to arrive at the proceeds from the sale of old equipment. So this 36,000 is cash received from sale of old equipment. So there is a cash aspect here. This 36,000 involves cash. So this is a key information for preparing cash from investing activities. So we are doing all these calculations to finally calculate the cash from investing activities. Calculation number 3, calculation of purchase of additional equipment. This is not directly given. By preparing asset account or building and equipment account, we can calculate the additional purchase of equipment. So for this purpose, I am preparing building and equipment ledger. So this is an asset ledger. So for asset, opening balance should appear on the debit side. Open balance. So as per trial balance, as per balance sheet, opening balance is 3,60,000. The closing is 5,70,000. 3,60,000 by closing balance 5,76,000. All in terms of rupees. So when you look at the accumulated depreciation account, this 48,000 is to be transferred to the journal entries building and equipment. Accumulated depreciation and building and equipment account debit to building and equipment account. So in building and equipment account, we have to credit it here by accumulated depreciation account, which is 48,000. Then the profit made on sale of equipment should be debited to P&L account. That means this will be given credit effect in the P&L ledger, which is 12,000. So by cash account, cash received from sale of equipment is 36,000. So the effect of 72,000 is accounted here. So the cost of equipment sold is given as rupees 72,000, which has been accounted for here. If you add these two, it will be around 84,000 minus 12,000 profit. You will get the cost that has been given effect in the ledger, and you can now close the ledger because there is no other transaction. There is no other purchase deliberated in the question. So we are just closing the ledger because here it is 84, 6,60,000, 2,88,000 is your additional purchase to cash account. Are you able to understand the calculation? This cash is building account debit to cash account is nothing but purchase. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Building comes in, cash goes out. So this is purchase of equipment here. So in case of land, this adjustment is not required because there is no information regarding profit on sale of land or land is not eligible for any depreciation. Similarly, the accumulated depreciation balance is available only for building and equipment, not for land. So this treatment is not required with regard to land. We can simply compare the difference. The opening and the closing can be compared. So 48 becomes 96. That means another 48,000 worth of land was bought during the year. You can directly take it as additional purchase. Now we can calculate cash from investing activities. Cash from sale of equipment. It's 36,000. This is cash inflow. Purchase of land will be rupees 48,000 outflow. So how do we calculate it? Simply comparing between the opening and the closing. That's it. And purchase of equipment. This is as per this calculation. From here, this amount is taken off here. 2,88,000. 320, 336 is negative, minus 36 is 3 lakhs, negative. This cash outflow, or you can take it as net cash outflow on investing activities.
Calculation number 3. Cash from financing activities. For this purpose, we need to look at question. Share capital has increased from 3,60,000 to 4,44,000. That means around an increase of 84,000. That means company has so issue of shares is one of the sources from which firm has raised finance, rupees 84,000. 4,44,000 the closing balance and 3,60,000 at the beginning. So the difference we have just taken as a cash inflow. I mean, any dividend payment made. So there is no interest cost here. There is no finance cost, payment towards finance, or expenses claimed as payment towards finance cost is not there, because there was no borrowings. There was no borrowing, so there is no involvement of payment of interest here. Whereas dividend payment is given. Dividend payment. Dividend paid 72,000. That means the difference is rupees 12,000 is your net cash flow from financing activity. 12,000. So now we have calculated cash from operating activities. We know cash from investing activity and cash from financing activity. Now we can prepare the cash flow statement. So cash flow statement of Ashok Limited on 31st March 2011 as per AS Accounting Standard 3 or Ind AS 7. So, accounting standard has prescribed the format. These are the items to be considered. Cash flow from operating activities. Based on workings number 1, cash flow from operating activities is 3 lakhs. Rupees 3 lakhs. Cash flow from investing activities 3 lakhs cash outflow, and cash flow from financing activities rupees 12,000. So net increase in cash flow rupees 12,000. With this, add opening balance of cash to 60,000 and your closing cash balance becomes 72,000. This is what is shown in this is what was appearing in the balance sheet. So 60,000 has become 72,000 because of net increase in cash flow by rupees 12,000. So this may be viewed as a firm has managed to raise capital by rupees 84,000, which was used for purchasing some of their equipments, because of which, firm was in a position to generate cash from operating activities to the tune of 3 lakhs, out of which dividend was paid. Dividend of rupees 72,000 was paid, and there was a cash flow of rupees 12,000 from financing activity. This has contributed for increase of cash flow from 60,000 to 72,000. Hope now you are in a position to understand the method by which the cash flow statement and the various components of cash flows are to be calculated.
Now let us get into the preparation of cash flow statement as per indirect method. As usual, we should have data with regard to cash from operating, investing and financing. Let us now start with the calculation of cash from operating activities. As per indirect method. So for this purpose, we should start with the net profit before tax and extraordinary items. So from P&L account, we observe that the net profit is 72,000, which is after debiting provision for tax of rupees 88,000. So by adding back the amount of provision of 88,000, you get the profit before tax, which will be rupees 1,60,000. Along with this, we have to add the non-operating expense of depreciation amounting to rupees 60,000. So add depreciation. Because the net profit is arrived after debiting depreciation of rupees 60,000. and depreciation is a non-cash expense. So 2,20,000 is your profit before, or it can be taken as operating profit. Before adjusting changes in working capital, or this can also be called as cash from operations. Cash from operating, cash from operations before adjustment of working capital. So now we have to adjust changes in current assets and current liabilities. So the general rule is decrease in current assets and increase in current liability means it should be always add. The difference should be added. That means increase in cash plus in cash position, and the opposite effect of it. Increase in current asset and decrease in current liability means the effect on cash position will be less. So less in cash position. So this rule we have to keep in mind while adjusting changes in working capital. Let us look at the balance sheet. And first let us start with current assets. So current assets, debtors, there is decrease by 18,000. 1,68,000 becomes 1,86,000. So increase in current assets by 18,000. Increase in debtors. So 18,000 less. Stock, there is decrease in stock. So decrease in stock. So decrease in current liability means increase in cash. The amount being 1,68,000. That means your investment in stock has declined. That means you have more operating cash with you. That's the logic behind it. Then in case of advances, again there is increase by 1,200. Increase by 1,200. So increase in current asset. Means less in cash. So increase in advances. 1,200 less. So in fact, in the direct method, we used to prepare ledgers for this to know the exact cash payment towards, received from debtors and paid to creditors, and your purchases, and cash paid to creditors, and cash paid towards employees. All these aspects are calculated by preparing the respective ledgers in case of direct method. Whereas here, we first calculate the operating profit or cash from operations before adjustment of working capital, and then we do the adjustments with regard to increase or decrease in current assets and current liabilities. Now let us look at current liabilities. Sundry creditors, there is a decrease by 6,000. This decrease. That means cash outflow. You would have paid cash. So decrease in current liability means less in cash. So decrease in creditors by 6,000. Your cash position is less. Then outstanding expenses increase by 24,000. So 24,000 increase. That means you would have enjoyed, you are enjoying more credit. So increase in current liability means increase in cash. So increase in outstanding expenses, 24,000 plus. So all minuses put together is 18, 19, 25, 200. All plus items put together 180, 192. So the difference should be the total should be after adding with this 2,20,000 and the difference of increase and decrease, the total will become 3,86,800. So this is CFO before tax, payment of tax. So from this less tax paid, less tax paid. So we have already calculated tax paid. So taking into account the opening, same procedure, opening balance of tax payable and closing balance of tax payable and the provision, current year provision, and the amount of tax is already calculated. We are going to use the same amount. There is no change in the method. So 86,800 is the amount of tax. So amount of tax as per calculation or as per workings, 86,800. So net cash from operations after making all these adjustments is going to be rupees 3 lakhs. This is what we arrived in the direct method also. So there is no change in the computation with regard to investing and financing activities. So the same amounts can be used here. So in case of direct and indirect method, only the operating cash will undergo changes. That too, it is because of, when we look at it from the cash dimension, we have to prepare ledgers to find out the cash received and the cash paid. Whereas here, in case of indirect method, we have to first consider the net profit before adding back all the non-operating expenses. Then we have to adjust the changes in working capital, and the tax should be paid. The amount of tax paid should be deducted, and the balance should be taken as net cash from operating activities. Net cash flow from operating activities. As such, the cash flow statement of the firm would remain the same, no matter the method, direct or indirect method. The method of computing operating activities, cash generated out of operating activities, will vary. But other calculations, like cash from investing activities, and cash from financing activities will remain the same. There is no change. So this is how the cash flow statement is to be prepared as per the direct and the indirect method.
Thank you.